This is a stimulus update and daily news report. The good news is more money has been approved for federal aid. So $100 million is going to go out to help people with heating and cooling bills. When it comes to Build Back Better, Steny Hoyer says a deal will be done this year. And Joe Manchin says he could strike a deal with Democrats regarding climate spending. President Biden met with multiple CEOs regarding the Build Back Better bill. I'll play a video clip from AOC talking about Manchin and the Build Back Better bill. Plus, 4 states are getting extra stimulus money in 2022. I'll let you know how much and when, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers today. Later on at 5 p.m. I will be announcing the winners, so you still have a few hours left if you want to enter to win the $200. Details down in the description below. But first, I want to get your opinion on this. Pelosi says she will run for re-election in 2022. Originally, she said she was going to back down. Now she is back in it for re-election in 2022. Do you agree with this? Disagree? Any Pelosi fans out there? So she was first elected in 1987. To give you some context, I was born in 1986, so I'm 35 years old now. So she's been in office just almost as much as I've been alive, which is crazy to think about. Had she been in office too long? Should she step down? Should there be term limits? Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. So President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law directs $100 million to lower heating and cooling bills. So this is new money just approved, going to help out a lot of people. The agency is adding $100 million to low-income home energy assistance program, which helps families afford heating and cooling. The infusion is the first installment of a 5-year, $500 million investment contained in the bipartisan infrastructure package enacted last year. Let me know down in the comments below, has your heating been really expensive this winter, more than usual? So yeah, this will be good. This will help out a lot of people. When it comes to the Build Back Better, Steny Hoyer, who is the House Majority Leader, he is just a step below Nancy Pelosi, says significant version of Build Back Better will pass this year. Do you believe him? So what he says is the overwhelming majority of that piece of legislation is supported by 50 Democratic United States senators, and they've said so. There are some things that they don't support, and we haven't moved ahead on that, but we need to keep working on that, and we need to get it done. So part of this doesn't really make sense. So he says majority of it's supported by the 50 Democratic United States senators. Not really the case. Looks like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are not part of that 50. If everybody was on board, it would have passed months ago. So not the case here, and we've heard many times before that it is going to pass. We heard Chuck Schumer say that it's going to pass by Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. How many other deadlines are going to be? So the boy has cried wolf many times. I'm sure people just want to see action instead of hearing that it's going to pass. So where does Joe Manchin stand? Joe Manchin says there's a lot of areas in climate spending that he could strike a deal on as Democrats begin revisiting the stalled Build Back Better spending bill. So is Joe Manchin actually going to be on board this time? Manchin said in a recent interview with Newsy that a deal could be struck on climate spending provisions. Biden has also said he believes an agreement is within reach on $500 billion in new climate initiatives. That's one of the things that Democrats want most in the Build Back Better bill. Democrats are beginning to revisit Build Back Better after Manchin torpedoed it a month ago. So time will tell. Joe Manchin kind of yo-yoing here, saying yes, he's willing to speak about it, but yet doesn't agree to anything. And the Democrat says he's on board, but then Manchin says he's not on board. So I'll keep you updated on what happens with that. Also, as Biden meets with CEOs on stalled Build Back Better plan, analysts believe a $1 trillion plus package is probable. We continue to see better than 50% probability that some pieces of BBB can become law. This just doesn't make any sense. Yes, it's probable. Yes, parts of it can pass, but there's nothing concrete yet. It's whatever King Manchin and Queen Sinema decide on is going to be the fate of Democrats and the Build Back Better bill. Here is AOC talking more about Manchin and Build Back Better.
Our Build Back Better plan is paid for. It doesn't increase the deficit. And maybe the best news of all, it will actually help alleviate inflation. The Build Back Better plan lowers prices for families and gets people working.
The president met with some of the nation's top CEOs today as he tries to salvage major components of his stalled agenda. Still with us, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Congresswoman, what is your reaction when you hear some in your party, some in the media, already blaming the left for the midterms defeat that seems to be coming your party's way and for Biden's low approval ratings? What do you say to their argument that Joe Biden went too far left in his first year, he was too ambitious, or as your House colleague Abigail Spanberger has said, nobody elected him to be FDR?
Well, I think folks like that, what they don't want to admit is that Biden has governed pretty much exactly the way they have asked him to. But the problem is that the way they have asked him to govern has been to slow down, not do too much. And we are now seeing the political consequences of not directly improving people's lives quickly. And so, I can't really point, unfortunately, I can't point to any major move that President Biden.
I think we may have lost the Congresswoman there. We'll see if we can get her back. We're in such an important answer there, talking about Biden's. I want to hear what she was about to say. What move was she about to point to? Let's see if we can get her back. Otherwise, we will.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Let's see if our viewers can hear.
Great.
You're back.
Sorry
You stopped at the most cryptic moment. You said, I can't point to one thing, and then you disappeared. So let's hear what that one thing was.
Well, here's the thing. I can't point to one major agenda where progressives or this so-called left sidelined the of the party in some dramatic fashion that can lead to this. The moderate end of the party has received everything that they have wanted from President Biden, including President Biden as the nominee himself. They got their president, they got their agenda, they got their sequence, they got their infrastructure plan with no BBB. They got all of it. And I can't really point to any real substantive or serious or intellectually rigorous argument as to anything that the progressive wing has done, aside from supporting President Biden, oftentimes more than the moderate wing of the party has, in a way that could lead to sinking poll numbers. There's just, when you don't change people's lives, people get upset. And we can improve people's lives. We can forgive student loan debt, and we can improve his poll numbers while we're at it.
Yeah, last time I checked, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were not self-styled socialists. What do you want to see happen to Build Back Better now? Is it dead? Because last night, former Obama advisor David Plouffe told me on this show that the Dems now basically have to just give Manchin what he wants, put what he wants in it, lose the rest. If you have to break it into chunks, do it. But you pass it and you run on whatever gets passed in November. Do you agree with that strategy?
Well, the complication with that is that that's already been done with Build Back Better. Manchin issued really a laundry list of requests and demands and changes to what he wanted to Build Back Better. The first, that was the story of 2020. He wanted it decoupled, he wanted it shrunk, he wanted it changed, and he was essentially catered to throughout this entire process. The issue that we have is that every day Senator Manchin wakes up, he has a different demand, and he wants to start over from scratch every single day. And so that is a quite difficult position to work with. This idea of just give him what he wants. He has been given everything that he wants. And so I believe that what the president, some avenues, not just the president, but the party, that we really need to explore what are the alternative measures to either bring Senator Manchin to the table, or how do we start exploring elements of Biden's agenda that can move forward without, without Senator Manchin.
And of course, Joe Manchin blocked his own voting rights bill last week, the bill that he wrote. He blocked it from going through. So a point taken. Last quick question. We're almost out of time, but I have to ask. You recently recovered from COVID after a trip to Florida. What did you make of the whole bizarre furore on the right from Republicans, from Fox, on your COVID diagnosis, and that you weren't wearing a mask on vacation outdoors, and you went on vacation to a red state, Florida? How dare you? You even had Governor Ron DeSantis' team trying to make hay with it.
Well, I mean, I can really tell you for sure how many of those Republicans fly into my airport and my district in New York City and LaGuardia Airport to come in and beg New Yorkers for money and to come into my state, come into my district all the time to grovel at the hands of their donors. As Florida goes, and Republicans do not own states just because they happen to have won a gubernatorial election. And not only that, but I can tell you that the people of Florida certainly seem very revved up and ready to go to organize for the 2022 midterm elections. And I'd be more than happy to return to the state of Florida to really help them organize.
What are your thoughts on what AOC said? Do you agree, disagree? Are things going to get done? Let me know your thoughts on that. So moving on to COVID. So the next COVID variant will be more contagious than Omicron, but the question is whether it will be more deadly, the World Health Organization says. So World Health Organization official Maria Van Kerkhove warned against theories that the virus will continue to mutate into milder strains that make people less sick than earlier variants. The virus will continue to evolve before it settles into a pattern, and Pfizer and BioNTech on Tuesday started testing COVID vaccine that specifically targets the Omicron variant. So we've seen this trend kind of happening. First it was Delta, which was super transmissible, and then Omicron, which is ultra transmissible, and I guess the severity of the cases are getting less and less. Probably how the flu evolved 100 years ago with the Spanish flu. It was deadly, and then now everybody gets the flu and it's not that big of a deal. Of course, it's bad, but not as bad. So it's probably what we're going to see, but I still don't understand the Omicron specific vaccine, because as soon as that vaccine is approved, there's going to be a new variant, as there already is of Omicron. Here is the latest video clip on what's going on with Omicron and COVID.
There are new and encouraging signs tonight that the disruptive COVID Omicron surge appears to be subsiding. The United States still averaging an ungodly number, 650,000 cases a day. But you can see here, the infections have begun declining steadily over the past week and a half or so. Hospitalizations trending in the same direction. Across the country, more than 140,000 people are in hospitals with COVID. That's a 7% drop from a week ago, according to the HHS data. Deaths remain horribly high right now, but they'll likely decline soon, since deaths usually lag a few weeks behind cases. Many health officials say it's still too early to tell whether Omicron will be the last disruptive surge. But today, Dr. Fauci appeared optimistic. He says we could be nearing a point where the nation has enough immunity from COVID, either from infection or vaccination, to protect against a future variant.
If you get enough protection from either infection plus boost or infection plus boost again, or vaccination with boosting, hopefully, but you will get a level of protection in the community that even if you get another variant, that you will not see a surge associated with that variant, but you'll have enough background immunity to protect against it.
Yeah, that said, you may have seen some alarming headlines over the past few days about a subvariant, something they call stealth Omicron. So far, it's been detected in dozens of countries, including the U.S., but experts stress it's not a cause for panic. CBC's Meg Terrell covers science and medicine for us. What do you know about this subvariant?
Well, Shep, it's called BA2, and it's a version of Omicron, but it has a number of mutations that make it different from the first strain. The reason it's sometimes referred to as stealth Omicron is because it doesn't have the same marker as the original that makes it stand out on PCR tests, but it is still detectable as COVID. Now, right now, more information is needed, but most experts agree BA2 appears to be more transmissible than the original Omicron. It's rising quickly in Denmark and many European countries, so some expect it will become the dominant variant in the U.S. as well. Its growth led the UK last week to designate BA2 a variant under investigation, even though the proportion of cases there is currently low. The other key questions are, is it more severe, and will current immunity stand up to it? Both of those questions need more research, but virologists say early evidence suggests it's not more severe, and that they do expect that both previous infection with Omicron and the vaccines and boosters should provide protection. So will this lead to yet another surge? Well, it's early to say, but Tulio de Oliveira, one of the researchers in South Africa who first alerted the world to Omicron, notes that BA2 is growing there even as cases are coming down overall. So the thought is most likely not a new surge, but scientists will, of course, keep watching, Shep.
Meg, there's also new research on long COVID long haul, and a potential way to figure out who's at risk.
Yeah, a new study that looked at a couple hundred patients with COVID identified 4 potential risk factors for the longer-term effects of the disease. They include type 2 diabetes, how high the level of virus is early in infection, reactivation of another virus called Epstein-Barr, and the presence of autoantibodies, ones that attack the body's own tissues. Of course, more work is needed, but researchers say the findings could help guide clinical trials to find ways to treat and prevent long COVID. Additionally, in a separate study this week, scientists identified a marker in the blood that may be linked with long COVID, suggesting it could be possible to develop a blood test to determine risk for the condition. That's also a ways off, but progress.
So what are your thoughts? Are we past COVID? Is COVID still happening? Is it not happening? Are we going to ever get past this? Let me know your thoughts on that. Moving on to stimulus checks. So all $1,400 stimulus checks have been issued. Here's what to do if you didn't get one. If you did not get the third $1,400 stimulus check, you'll have to file a recovery rebate credit on your 2021 tax return, even if you made $0 in your entire, let's say last year, 10 years, 20 years, your entire life, you still file a small tax return just so that you could claim that $1,400 stimulus check. And stimulus money in other states. So stimulus update, extra stimulus money is coming for residents in these 4 states in 2022. So let me go over these states really quick. We have the California stimulus check that had a first and second stimulus check, and they're working on a third stimulus check because of the surplus. I'll keep you updated when we find out what's going on with that. Florida's educator stimulus checks. So Florida issued $1,000 checks to teachers and principals. That went up to 170,000 of them. Indiana State, $125 is going out to anybody who files their taxes in Indiana because they had a surplus as well. And then New York has a different type. New York's undocumented worker stimulus program, so that's helping out undocumented workers claim money from the first 2 stimulus checks. Or for anyone who had less than $26,000 in 2022, they're eligible for the first 2 stimulus checks. And that is all the stimulus news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is the tip of the day. Want me to tell you the one thing that you should do? You should, when you feel bad, take a couple deep breaths in and out. And also, after that, you can realize that things are better. So, bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your support. So my wife worked a 24-hour shift and just got back this morning at 7 in the morning, and she made me breakfast. So shout out to Christine, my wife. She's awesome. She worked at 24 and is on her feet, helping out with the kids, making food, doing all the good stuff around the house. So yeah, she's the best. Shout out to Christine, love her very much. So if you want to check out my latest videos, you could click up here. And don't forget, you still have a couple hours left if you want to sign up for the $200 checks to potentially win. I'm announcing the winners at 5 p.m. So click this video up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.